So the Cubs are back in more ways than one. We'll tell you why on a live edition of Locked On Cubs.
Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy, and this is Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Please support the show and be a part of the Locked On Cubs community by following and subscribing on all audio platforms. And you can watch, subscribe, and leave a comment on YouTube. Thanks for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. We are live right now on YouTube, recording at 1:20 p.m. here on a Monday. It's the day that the Cubs have their first full team workout at Sloan Park. First spring training game is this Saturday, and opening day is 38 days away. A lot to talk about with the Cubs. We'll also get to interaction here on the live. Some trivia, some Theo Epstein recognition here on a President's Day, and a whole lot more. So thanks for being a part of the fun. Sam, I'd like to know if this is the beginning of the end of the rebuild, that is, for the Northsiders. We're going to have to see how that plays out as the 2023 season moves along. But I'm excited to be excited about the Cubs for the first time in a while.
Yeah. First of all, happy President's Day to everybody out there. One of my favorite holidays. The reason why we're going midday is 1:20, right? That's right. 1:20 Monday, day off. Good idea by you, right? 1:20 is when the Cubs usually first pitch. In case anyone did put that together. Yeah, I was thinking about it before we went on air. You tell me if I'm wrong, and everyone else can as well. I think this is the most excited as a fan base we've been since before the 2019 season. The reason being the 2020 season speaks for itself. There was COVID. 2021, there was that elephant in the room. None of the guys got extended before opening day. Don't you remember when we were on the phone after the Darvish trade? It was just kind of a very weird thing. And you kind of just knew that if something great didn't happen early on, they were going to get rid of those guys. And then last year, it was just a bad roster. So I really do think the excitement, whether you think they're going to be really good, whether you think they may be a little bit, maybe we're overhyping them, it's still definitely the most excited I've been since 2019. And that sounds like it's not a lot, but that's 4 years now, Matthew.
Yeah, and I like that you dated back even that far, because I think that the Darvish marker is definitely a significant piece in December of 20. And then really the last time they were in contention was June of 21. And even then it felt weird and felt the beginning of the end of that core. So, the Cubs being back, I think is certainly a plausible thing to ponder here, because you have a top 10 farm system in baseball, which was punctuated by the trade of multiple of those guys that produced multiple top prospects. You have young major league players on the rise, like Horner and Steele, among others, who helped pace the Cubs to a nice finish in the second half of 22, which, we've talked before about if that's legit or not. Well, we'll find out, but they did win those ball games. Right. And then finally, they've improved their team through free agency, first with Suzuki and Stroman last year, and then an astounding 9 free agents this offseason, highlighted by Swanson, Bellinger, and Tyone. Yeah, I know you can't confuse activity with achievement.
Right.
But there's certainly been a level of activity that has amplified the level of excitement. And I like that the season's right around the corner. And to be real, can we play next week? Let's just skip spring training.
Yeah, let's not. But no, and a great comment there by Aaron Salzberg. There will be a lot of presidential references and trivia later on in this program, so hopefully you have your notebooks out. Yeah. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, Matthew. No, you interrupt me for a change. Everyone always makes fun of me. You come in once. You say something.
Do you have presidential notes in front of you?
Oh, absolutely not. I don't need notes.
Okay.
This isn't. I'm not.
This is off the top of your head.
And I don't like people that give speeches or do stuff when you read off a piece of paper. Things need to come from the heart. Anyway.
Absolutely.
And the brain. Yeah, I agree with what you said. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I think this is a shoe-in 90-win baseball team.
Right.
But I'm also going to admit, just for my own fandom, this is the most excited I've been before opening day since the 2019 season. I wonder if you guys feel the same way. And Matt, obviously,
let us know in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think they've done enough to get me to the point where I don't think I think they care about winning this year. We talked about it on today's episode, the Keegan Thompson thing. Like, early on, announcing, hey, this is his role. He's at his best in the bullpen. We're serious about winning. I'd like that Ross already announced the four main starters and the fifth, is up for grabs between the right guys. There's a lot. And let me say this, and Jim, thanks for reminding me. There's something about this time of year. Usually it's a little bit later for me. It's usually about 2 weeks from now. It might be my favorite time of year. The weather starts to change.
Oh, yeah.
The smells start to change. The NCAA tournament, which is a big thing for me, gets going. I used to be into the road to the NBA playoffs, but that's done, and that's a separate thing. And then
finally,
you start to look around, and I used to always say when I was a kid, it just starts to feel and smell like baseball season. I mean, you get started really early on, Matt, but for me,
from today,
for normal people, that weather starts to get late 40s, early 50s. You go with a hoodie and a pair of sweats, no jacket, and it just starts to smell like Cubs baseball. And there's nothing like that. And the best part of the Cubs season for me, or at least one of them, is that first couple of weeks where you go from not doing anything to every single night you got something to do. And then when there's that of course, the automatic rainout you're going to have early in Cincinnati, it's like the worst night ever. I got no Cubs baseball tonight. It's the best. And for somebody like me that doesn't ever leave the home, you have 6 straight months of companionship, and I'm really psyched.
Absolutely. That's part of the fun. And I think that, to have that anticipation is really important, because you have all this buildup, you have the runway to opening day. Right. You had a very active offseason. Coming into this offseason, I was wondering how much activity there was going to be, and if there was going to be, a consistent level of conversation about this team, or moves they might make, moves they made. And they did that. And it's really exciting to be able to be at this point. The offseason's over.
It's over.
No more tag in the offseason. It's now Cubs spring training, Cubs roster, Cubs lineup, Cubs opening day starter. So it's really fun. It's a fun time. I really just doing this live right now and doing this show, and since taking over on July 5th, it's even made me more into the team and appreciate being a Cubs fan more and being a part of this community. It's been a blast, and to feel like this is the beginning of the end of the rebuild and more into better times. I feel really good.
I'm laughing. Some of these presidential comments are great, guys.
Those are good.
Oh man, rest in peace, Ronald Reagan.
Okay. And to think about the season, the way it's going to go, for everybody that's with us right now, the path to the playoffs, if you wanted to approach that, is narrow. Who of the Braves, Mets, Phillies, Cardinals, Dodgers, and Padres will be removed from that mix?
No, I have no clue.
It's hard to see that.
Philly.
But maybe that's, dare I say, maybe that's okay? ? Because to at least be in the conversation and see a path for the first time since June of 21 or even before that, and have all these good things happen with the system, I think it's going to be a really interesting outlook for this team.
Yeah, let's not worry about the other ball clubs. Let's roll the ball out and play. Let's say play ball and pitch and win 10 of our first 15 and see what happens. You never know who gets hurt. You know what I mean? You never know. I mean, the Cardinals, what happens if Arenado pulls a hamstring going first to third on April 4th? I don't know.
Well,
I mean,
that would really rattle the standings.
You play the game and enjoy the game. The worst days behind this rebuild are over. And let's enjoy it together. And I saw some questions about Horner extension stuff. We'll get to the Q&A here as Matt has planned out here at the end. So don't think we're ignoring you.
Let's see here, Sam. How's your throw at third, by the way? Speaking of a question, that was from Darren.
How is your throw to third looking? Bad, and it never looked good.
Okay. And, the other thing that I would say is, if I could just float this right now, Sam, I really want to go to a game opening weekend this year.
Yeah, you mentioned about a half dozen times.
Would love to do a show hangout plus the game on Saturday, April 1st. So I just wanted to float that out there for the first time publicly. I would love to have our first show meetup somewhere around the ballpark on Saturday the 1st. And then, find the game if people want to go to that afterwards as well. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Are you floating that out publicly, or are you floating it to me?
Both.
That's a great question. The answer is going to be William Howard Taft.
Oh, boy. Coming up next, we apparently get into some presidential trivia.
I got some good stuff.
I have a baseball question as well. And since it is President's Day, former Cubs president of baseball operations, Theo Epstein, is going to be reminisced upon as well. That's coming up next. Stay tuned. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, the #1 sports book in America. New customers join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. This is all in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use, so don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Locked On Cubs. Welcome back into Locked On Cubs. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. If you're with us live here on YouTube, thanks for joining us. If you're not listening after the fact, please subscribe and join us the next time we go live. Definitely going to test a live after one of the early spring training games to test out our post-game format this year, amongst other things we're going to do prior to March 30th still. Sam, I know you have some trivia.
Yes.
And
by the way, I want to, we echo this, by the way, to everybody. We would love to meet all of the listeners. Hopefully at some point, like Matt said, we'll get that done. I'm worse looking in person. Okay.
Jeez.
All right. Some presidential trivia. First one's Cubs related. Okay. And we'll get to, like I said, we'll get to everybody's questions later on. I'm in no rush. I know Matt is always. No, I'm just joking. Matt, this question's for you first. Everybody can comment and answer, but Matt, honor system. Don't look at any comments. You should know this.
So you don't want me to wait?
I want you to let me know if you know the answer, but I just don't want you to cheat, because like when you did trivia with me, you got to, a lot of these people are smarter than me and you. They might know it in 2 seconds.
I'm going to change tabs then.
Yeah, change tabs. Okay. Which of these former presidents worked for a radio station in Des Moines, Iowa in the 1930s, and in a complicated way helped call Chicago Cubs games on the radio?
Ronald Reagan.
That's going to be former President Ronald Reagan. Jim got it. If you're ever
he was a
bored,
broadcaster for a while, right?
Yeah, if you're ever bored, which probably you are today if you're off work, go on YouTube and watch him and Harry Carey call the I think it's like 88 or 89. He comes to Wrigley Field, calls an inning with Harry Carey towards the end of his presidency. Really cool. Really cool stuff. Check that out. My last question, this isn't really Cubs related, but it's current events related, and I enjoy President's Day, is as look at Jim. Jim, I'm almost as old as Reagan. Well, God bless you, Jim. God bless you. Go Cubs. So Jimmy Carter is in hospice care right now. He is 98 years old. He is the oldest president to ever live, the president that lived the oldest. Matthew Cozy, can you name the other 4 presidents to live the longest? You don't have to do it in order.
George Bush.
Yeah.
H.W.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Outstanding.
George H.W.
Yes.
I felt really good about that one. I hope I get at least one more.
No, and I could give you some hints if you'd like.
Okay.
But just let me know.
FDR.
That's going to be incorrect. He died in office.
Oh, jeez.
He died in office. He was not a healthy man, but a terrific president.
Okay.
Don't want to get overly political. Sorry. Would
Yeah,
you like a hint? Would you like a couple of hints?
Sure.
One of them we just spoke about.
Oh, wow. So, all right. So George H.W., Ronald Reagan.
Correct. The other one, sorry, that's not funny.
Yeah, don't put that up.
Yeah. The other one was a football player at the University of Michigan.
Oh, shoot.
He was a football player. He went to Michigan, I believe. He played football there. I think Mark Richardson's like a history teacher or something. Mark, fact check.
Gerald Ford?
That's going to be correct.
Oh, wow.
And then
that's really cool.
The other one, believe it or not, with all the advances in medicine, was one of our founding fathers.
Oh, okay. Was it John Adams?
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Let's talk. That went a little too long. Sorry if I bored anybody.
Well,
I'm sorry. I just get excited about. I love history, American history.
I did better than I thought. I recovered a little bit.
No, you did outstanding. An underappreciated president and founding father. You always hear Jefferson. You always hear Washington. You never hear John Adams. All right, let's talk about baseball.
Before I get back to my baseball trivia question, shout out to Theo Epstein, one of the greatest sports executives of all time, one of the greatest team presidents of all time. Theo helped extinguish not one but 2 of the longest droughts without a championship in baseball history. The Red Sox won a World Series in 2004 after 86 years, and the Cubs won the World Series in 2016 after 108 years. The Red Sox also won in 2007. Theo was with each franchise for 9 seasons. This is a person that definitely has to be on the 2016 statue, if not actually get his own recognition somewhere else in the ballpark one day. So Theo Epstein, just want to give a shout out. He's been on a little bit of a media tour recently as he's now helping Major League Baseball and has really been one of the anchors of all the rule changes around the game right now.
Okay. Big Rant, I don't know the answer to this. I just know that Gerald Ford was president in 1976, so I'll say that. And this is actually real quick, Matt. Sorry to cut you off.
No, go.
Don't be mad when Madrigal goes off. Listen, if Nick Madrigal hits 350 this year, I'll buy his jersey and take him out to 10 steak dinners. I want the Cubs to win. I have absolutely no allegiance towards anybody on this team except winning games. I'm just a little bit suspicious that he could put together a full offensive season. That's all.
Yeah, and we'll start taking some of those questions and comments as well. So, all right, everybody, here's another question here. Kyle Hendricks' streak of starting on opening day is going to end at 3.
Yes.
How many opening day starts then does the Cubs' current projected rotation have? The top 4 projected right now is Stroman, Steele, Tyone, and Smiley. Out of those 4, how many opening day starts do they have? Is it A, 0,
Oh, there's the multiple choice.
B, 1, C, 2, or D, 3?
I'll just say this. For some reason, I feel like Tyone made an opening day start with Pittsburgh. So, and maybe Stroman made one with Toronto. So I don't know. I'm not even going to guess. I don't know the answer. I'll say 2.
Okay, so yeah, you're. I think 2 is a very fair reply. I'm just going to give another 20 seconds here to the chat, and because obviously Steele doesn't have enough time.
Did Smiley make an Did he make it? He didn't make one, did he?
No, he's been more of a back end guy in his career. It's going to be D3.
Okay.
Stroman and Tyone each started opening day, fun fact, in 2019. And Stroman also started opening day in 2016, both with Toronto.
So did Tyone start with Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's good question, Mateo.
And we'll examine that moving forward. But my guess would be it's going to be Stroman.
Who do you think had the most opening day starts outside of Fergie for the Cubs? Like in modern times, is it Zambrano?
Not times. Zambrano's a great call.
Remember when he got lit up by Jason Hayward opening day in Atlanta in 2010 or was something like that?
Does Kerry Wood have a shot at something like that?
I don't think so.
Probably not, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But I don't, listen.
John Lester.
I don't think Lester. Yeah, I think Lester started opening day in 15.
I have to think about that. Yeah.
So he would be 15. He would be 16. Yeah, you're right. No, because Arrieta was 17. Because that was
right.
No, I think and Arrieta might have even been 16 because he had that great year. So it wasn't Lester. But anyway.
Right.
It's probably Zambrano and Hendricks. Maybe Sutcliffe. Yeah, there you go.
I think
All right, are we done with trivia?
We are, and so we're going to move forward interacting with everybody that's with us. So I
saw a question about the Horner extension. I can't pull it.
Oh
up,
yeah,
though.
let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there still a chance that Horner is extended prior to opening day, Sam? What do you think?
Is there a chance? Of course there is. I doubt it will be done in spring training, but I'm very confident he will be extended before he gets if he has a good season this year, he will be a Chicago Cub for the next 7-8 years. I just don't think they feel too rushed on it. We did a show on this, so I'm not going to get too in detail about it. But look, here's my piece of advice. You could take it or leave it. I don't like telling people how to fan. Okay.
Right.
I hate that. You do what you want to do. You pay money to watch the team. You do what you want to do as long as it's appropriate. I wouldn't be the guy when Horner hits with a bases clearing double on opening day, say, extend Nico. These guys know what they're doing, okay, with this stuff. I don't think they're going to let Nico Horner walk. Ian Happ's a different story. And if you want us to get in detail on that, watch our show on it because we talked about it. But Horner, I believe, very confidently will be a Chicago Cub for a long time, and that extension will get done at some point before the 2024 season.
And begin to think of some questions. Put those in the chat. We'll get to those here. The last.
Yeah. This is where you pound the questions.
The last part that we're on here. I thought that happened. Horner episode turned out really well. That was from early last week, I believe. Actually, it was the week before now. Wow.
Yeah, it goes by quick when everybody keeps losing games.
And so I thought it was very, very nuanced, appropriate, a lot of good baseball talk in that as well, just in terms of the different reasoning. On today's show that's currently live, there was discussion about Edwin Rios and, him joining the party at third base. And I saw something here from Darren that I wanted to get to. He wants to throw a 6th or 7th guy in there. David Bodie is still with this franchise.
Yeah, forget it.
I don't think there's any chance, Darren, unfortunately or fortunately. I think they did try to strike lightning in a bottle with that extension so early in his career, and it just didn't happen. So I don't think he's really in contention for a spot right now.
Here's an interesting question. What do you guys think have been the most valid criticism of the Cubs? What has been the absolute? The first part of that, the most valid criticism of the Cubs, I think.
Did you read the whole question?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you cut off yourself.
No, I just didn't really understand the second part.
Oh.
So I was just going to answer the first because I think it's about the same.
What do you think has been the most valid criticism of the Cubs, and what has been the absolute worst? Okay.
Yeah. So for me, I think the most valid criticism of the Cubs, I don't think it's getting rid of the core or not extending the core. I think it's just been the most valid criticism is their lack of transparency with what they've tried to accomplish these last couple of years, especially financially. That because even with all these moves that they made this year, they're still not even top 10 in payroll. So for me, the most valid criticism of the Chicago Cubs is their lack of transparency as an organization, with the asterisk of particularly financially. I don't know what you think, Matt.
Well, that's a good one, and it's definitely justified. So just to get some variety, I'm going to say the most valid criticism is that they didn't develop enough pitching.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost got comical, the amount of pitchers they didn't have. They had to buy pitching for so long. I think it did catch up to them. You know, they went all in on the hitters developing, and they definitely struck in a window in which they all succeeded.
And then they all got worse.
They did, which was tough. But they never developed basically not a single pitcher from their system up until recently.
And they've gotten better recently.
They have. And there's even some borderline elite arms that are coming through the ranks now. So I think that's probably what comes to mind for me first, especially if you're talking about things on the field.
Yeah, I agree. There's a question I missed. I wanted to get to right here. I would say early on in the year, Mark Hughes, but if Alzolay could get some sort of third pitch to get out lefties, long-term, ceiling-wise, Alzolay. That's a really cop-out answer, but that's the answer I would give.
That's a good question from Mark about the closer. I'm going to say Michael Fulmer should be the closer.
I think that this bullpen
I think he's the leader in the clubhouse right now.
Yeah, and I think you're wrong. I think this...
Really?
I just think this is going to be a very nuanced bullpen, and I don't think you're going to see a defined role like that early on. I think it's going to be feel. I think there's going to be a lot of Keegan Thompson finishing games, right? So I don't know, but you could be right. Maybe early on they lean Fulmer.
I would say Boxberger or Fulmer. Early.
Yeah, because just like they did Robertson for a veteran, and then he takes the job and runs with it. Who knows? Yeah. Who has the best chance, in your two's opinion, to be an MVP candidate this season? You want to go first?
Yeah, and I'd like to do an episode on the next. This is similar to a question I want to explore soon about the next Cubs star, but specific to 23 MVP candidate. I mean, it's hard not to say Suzuki, especially with all the time in the weight room he had this offseason, apparently.
Yeah, but be careful with that.
But I'm going to say Dansby Swanson.
Okay, yeah, fair. I'll say Suzuki. It's one, I don't think it's going to be either, but it's one of those guys. I mean, Suzuki's the guy that I could see just breaking out if he stays healthy.
That'd be
great. As I've mentioned, a lot on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only was he the 2016 AL Rookie of the Year, but as a starter.
Yes, he started for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of good stuff here. By the end of the year, Nico will be considered a top 3 second baseman, ? I don't know about top 3, but I would say top 5 for sure, if healthy.
Top 3 sounds high to me.
The thing with Nico is health. Can he play 145, 50 games this year uninterrupted without a major IL stint? Because, defensively, he's going to knock it out of the park. And then, just some tweaks offensively. Can he walk just a tad bit more and add some more slug to his game? Key word here being without taking away what he's good at. For example, last year, Ian Happ did an awesome job cutting down his strikeouts, right? But in doing so, his ground ball rate skyrocketed, and he saw a dip in power. He still had a good year. But the key is to improve without taking the stuff that already makes your game great, right?
This question comes from Drew, who created our graphic prior to the live today. Thanks, Drew. He's going to be contributing some graphics moving forward for us. Love having him contribute. What are the chances that the Cubs as a team lead the NL in stolen bases? I think it's possible with this roster and new rule changes.
That's a good question.
Yeah, the Cubs have in their current projected starting 9, they have multiple threats to steal. I would say they're 1 through 5 are all legitimate with that. You know, Horner, Happ, Swanson, Suzuki, Bellinger as well has stolen double-digit.
Yeah, I think the answer to the question is what are the chances? I would say moderately low, just because they don't have a guy like Trey Turner that's going to probably steal 50.
Yeah.
But there's a chance. I mean, who knows these rule changes? Who knows? I hope I hope this year they with their profile with Horner, especially if Madrigal plays, they need to incorporate more hit and run. The biggest advantage you have when you have a high contact guy at the plate is you could hit and run and feel good that they're going to, make contact and do those things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know they were 4th last year, but last year they were reckless as well. They got caught a lot. They were thrown out at 3rd. I would expect them, though, to be top 5. So, it's definitely a fair question. Wait, there's a good one with Travis here.
Oh, what is it? Sam, how much would it take to join Matt and I at Wrigley in November for Iowa Northwestern football?
It's a great question.
Travis producing the show here. That's great.
I would say it's for sure a 3-digit. I would say Matt would probably have to write me a check for $350.
Oh, come on.
No, I don't want to watch that.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, I'll go with Travis then.
Yeah, right.
And maybe invite my dad as well. All right. We're going to start to wrap up here. Here's a question from Edward. Who hits the first home run for the Cubs this year, and how long will it take for Happ to hit his first?
Nick Madrigal. No. Oh, I don't know, Edward. If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be doing this show. I'd be in the Caribbean. Who's going to hit the first homer? I have no idea. How long will it take Happ? I don't know. Do you know, Matt?
Well, Happ, hopefully within the first 10 games.
Yeah, you always want to get that. Remember that one year, I think it was 2012, where Soriano didn't hit a home run until like the end of May, but then he finished with like 30 or 32. You always want to get that first one. You want to get that first one under your belt, feel good about it, and then you go there. I will say this: if I were a betting man, which I'm not, but shout out FanDuel anyway, Suzuki crushed the Brewers last year. He just killed them.
Did.
He killed him. It was his best game. He had the home run off Peralta. He had the inside the park homer off Hader. So him hitting the first home run would probably be the safest bet, but you're still going to get probably like 5-1 odds on that.
I mentioned Edwin Rios opposite field off Corbin Burns opening day. I'm not sure how serious that was, but would love to see Horner hit another opening day homer this campaign as well.
Sorry. He's got to make the roster first, Rios.
Yeah, and I know we're kind of laughing about Happ. I still remember when he hit the very first pitch of the entire baseball season out.
2018 off Urania on the Marlins.
Yeah.
Comeback sinker, caught way too much of the plate.
Some good discussion in the chat on who's going to do that as well.
Let's wrap up. Let's do 2 more.
Okay. Are there...
Watch it be Bellinger. I'm just seeing which one I want to pick.
Well, here's one right here about Patrick Wisdom.
Oh, sure.
What are we doing about Patrick Wisdom? A lot of discussion on third being taken by utility types. Does Wisdom have a spot on this roster the moment one of those guys looks good defensively at third?
Yeah, I saw somebody made a really good comment about Wisdom on our show from our show today. I think that they have to keep Wisdom because he hits lefties well, and they don't have a lot of guys to do that. And now you go get Rios, a guy that's slightly better against righties. So there is some sort of platoon there, but then there's Madrigal and McKinstry. It's a who knows. It's a who's who. Wisdom will be on the opening day roster. That's all I can answer.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us here on our spring training party. This week, we are back to 5 episodes per week. Did an episode on the Rio signing and the bullpen and fifth starter news that is posted today, if you haven't checked that out yet. But we're excited to be with you 5 times a week for a long time now, as it is baseball season. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for Locked On Cubs on YouTube and smash the like button on all your favorite Locked On Cubs content. If you're here right now, please hit the like button on our way out. Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more on the audio side. And you can drop us a text for a future mailbag, 312-834-4634. Thanks for making Locked On Cubs your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects, where host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. Locked On MLB Prospects, available on YouTube podcast. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is